these are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.
And welcome back, and we're moving into our second segment at this time, and it's time for some Bruk It Down with Jenny.
You know, on a fun Friday, we always broke things down with you, Jenny.
I know, and she takes these very difficult topics and try to make them a lot easier for us to listen to and hopefully apply. Right? So good morning, Jenny, and welcome back. We know you were off on your little vacation.
It was not a vacation, it was work.
Okay. It was work, but you're the type that enjoys work, so it was a vacation. Yeah, that's the way it is.
Now, let's have the difficult conversation about difficult conversations.
Yes.
Where do we start? Isn't that what we say when you know you have something that you need to tackle and you just go, yeah, eventually I'll get around to it.
We put it off.
Yeah.
But there are lots of reasons why we don't. Sometimes we look at people and we make the assumption, they're not listening anyway.
Yeah.
Or they don't make the changes that they need to make. So I might as well do.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we make assumptions and we act on our assumptions. And so it's so much more important to talk. And I have nothing else over the time that I've been talking with you folks. I tell you the importance of talking and listening, right? And so with a difficult conversation, it's really important that you're listening and doing a lot of listening and then sharing what it is that you need to share, but doing it again in a loving way.
Yeah.
So people want to listen. That's the main thrust.
Let's classify what's a difficult conversation if
Good.
we can, so
There you go.
people can know it's not just having the birds and bees talk with your kids, which is one, but it's also sometimes being an adult, not addressing problems.
Right.
Go ahead.
I put a definition because I thought it
Okay.
was very important. It's conversations that carry emotional baggage. And when we talk about baggage, it's all the stuff we bring from our past.
Yeah.
Right? And these things become filters. And so when I say filters, you know what a filter does? It separates
Sifts out,
out,
yeah, it separates
and
what's
sometimes
good from what's not.
right, but sometimes we sift out good things too.
Yeah.
Right. So we come with all this baggage, and baggage consists of things that you were embarrassed about, maybe as a child, confusion, anxiety, anger. And anger turns into resentment, and we have a lot of people who have a lot of resentments.
That's right.
Pain, fear. Okay, and sometimes it's from me, the person that needs to have the conversation, and sometimes it's from the other person.
Yeah.
And so that's a difficult conversation.
Like
And
the
I
elephant
put
in
the
the room.
elephant in the room because a lot of times the elephant is there
Yep.
in a lot of situations. Nobody addresses it. Elephant sitting there with a big wads of doo-doo. And seriously, nobody talks about
Nobody
it.
talks
Well,
about it.
you know, and we use this phrase so much, like the elephant in the room, and I think, you know, this is such a great picture because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
We're sitting there pretending like this big issue isn't there that has to be resolved, and you know.
Nobody talks
Yeah.
because everybody's afraid of putting their foot out and being the first one to broach the subject and having a big blow up or something.
Yeah,
But we need to address the elephant in the room.
So how do you prepare yourself to eventually address the elephant in the room? And I say this because it's difficult for a lot of folks to prepare themselves, and this is the reason why they don't step there. It's not that they don't want to talk about the situation, but it's how to prepare yourself for that conversation.
I have to prepare me first before I can approach you. And a lot of times, depending when I walk in, for example, say I have to say something to my husband, my significant other. I don't want to have an argument. I don't want this to turn into a big war.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ignore it. And so we both smile at each other and we move
When in
around
reality,
like
things are
nothing
actually
happened.
there.
You know?
So it's one of those things too. I think that you're almost avoiding. Now, I guess that's the fear.
It is
You're
avoidance.
avoiding
Yeah.
what the consequences of the talk could possibly be. Like if I have to talk to a coworker, we'll have issues afterwards. We won't like each other. If I have to talk to my spouse, we're gonna have a big blow up argument. If I talk to my child, then they're gonna shut me out of their life. If not momentarily for good. And so all of these fears are just enough for me to say, well, I'll just keep on pretending like it's not there. But what happens when you ignore it?
Before I say that though, you said something very interesting. You see, we worry about what's could happen, and it's all in the future. Future's not here yet. It's what we do in the now. Everything is in the now. What I do now will determine how things work out in the future. And so it's so important that we focus in the now.
So what you just mentioned really comes to life for a lot of people, because it is the reality that is what we do, and it happens a lot with families, whereby we're so afraid. We're so afraid of what will happen after the conversation.
What could happen?
What could
we
happen?
don't know.
What may
Yes.
1%, 5%, 7% chance.
Yeah, we have you have people who don't talk to each other. They're not talking to each other because they're mad about that elephant in the room, and so they're wasting all this precious time not talking to each other or having that conversation.
It's right there with me.
The cost of it, though, is that you have a worsening problem. You also have dysfunction begins to happen within family members, because now you have people not talking to each other in families, right? Relationships deteriorate, husband and wife, because we're not talking about what's really going on and what's important. So I'm angry and now I'm becoming resentful, and so the relationships begin to deteriorate. And finally, if it's in the workplace, the workplace becomes a place where it's intolerable. If you're having, for example, sometimes people triangulate. Right? When I say triangulate, we add other people in, and so it becomes gossip, right? And so now we have.
I don't like Jenny, and I get John involved, and sometimes even when I can't deal with Jenny, I project it on John, you know, because it's so much easier to live in this kind of stagnant negativity rather than just talking to Jenny.
Right. We don't want to be brave enough to have that conversation. And so all that gossip, it begins to become gossip, and it becomes intolerable. And people quit jobs because of things like this. Right? So really important to have the conversation.
And that's key, because I remember once reading this article on Business Insider about how ultimately people don't quit the work they do, they quit the environment that they work in.
It's true.
And that is, it's a trend that's all across. So we don't address the issues. And I love what you have here with the issues in the workplace in terms of.
Yeah, some issues that occur in workplaces, for example, personal information discussions. You know, we might need to talk about some of the things that are going on personally, because in the workplace, those are mainly the things. People are very good at their jobs, but they're very unhappy about some of the things, right? And I'll tell you something else. Somebody might come and share something with me, and now I'm angry with you. I haven't come to ask you for feedback, but I'm mad at you based upon what somebody's impression is and told me as fact. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes, it does.
And so it creates so much angst in the workplace. Another one, we have to give bad news. For example, somebody dies or somebody is critically ill. Who in the workplace will I talk to that can give this information? Because some people are going to screen, throw themselves down, create a lot of drama, right? So I really have to look as an employer. I have to look at who I can talk to about easing this information or sharing it with the person myself, right? Addressing gossip. It's so important to address gossip because gossip has a way of just growing so huge, and it really creates
that's
problems.
like the wildfire in the workplace.
Absolutely. Alcohol abuse, very important for employers to address this before it becomes a real problem, and cost, because there's cost involved.
Of course.
Right. And discuss promotions. I believe I've been working so hard, and I really believe that I deserve to be making some more money or getting a promotion in my workplace. But we're scared to go and have that discussion. And it's so important to go have that discussion, because then if you don't value yourself, why should I value you?
Sure.
Correct? So it's so important that we look at having these conversations with our bosses. And I know people are looking at me out there and going, especially my sister, going, you crazy. You are out of your mind. I'm not going to go have that conversation with my boss. But who's going to have it for you?
But here's the thing, Jenny, and I think there's an underlying problem here, and it's almost a bit of a societal issue as well. We're not, it's a lack of confidence, a lack of assertiveness, you know, and even if you get into the gender disparity of it all, how often would a man maybe tackle, and I won't say the emotional issues or the problems, but like if it's something in the workplace or something with going to your boss, they might be able to do it more than a woman. How many people are willing to talk about emotions or problems? But it is very common, you know. How many times do we have friends where we sit around and say, well, I wish X, Y, and Z would know this or know that, but nobody says
wants
anything.
to build a cat.
Yeah.
Nobody
the
wants
friend
to.
leaves and then you say, oh, they're so negative. And then you have the conversation about their negativity, their depression, their challenges with their spouse, not when they're in front of you.
Right. And I think that's how we're socialized, unfortunately. But again, I'm hoping that as we talk about some of these subjects, that people make those changes or are willing to look at those changes. Techniques for addressing difficult issues. I need to look at me first. What are my emotions? Because there's no point in me coming to talk to you if I'm resentful, I'm angry, because I'm going to come to you and bring that to you.
Of course.
And if I project that to you, you're not going to listen to me. Your walls go up immediately. Nothing gets resolved. I need to, how can I handle this with sensitivity?
For everyone.
For everybody. For me, because I don't want to come out of there feeling badly and you feel okay. Right? It needs to be, I'm okay, you're okay. Okay, and then I need to be specific. I can't speak in generalities. I need to specifically tell you what it is that we need to talk about. And that takes bravery. It takes somebody really sitting down, looking at itself, and then going out and doing it.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
And I'm sorry I'm rushing through this, but I
know
have limited time. So, with friends, we talk about what kinds of things we might, I'm just giving a little bit of examples, but things we need to talk with our friends. And instead of talking behind their backs or waiting until they leave and talking with the other friends and go, so who wants to tell her or who wants to tell him? Right, here are some topics. Substance use. We have friends who are drinking and then getting in their car. And somebody
or drinking
hit the
all
nail
the
on the head.
time, never want to stop.
Or binge drinking. But nobody wants to say anything. So really and truly, how much do you really care about that person if you're going to talk about them behind their back and not say it up to their face, right?
It's not helping when you do that.
No. Some people, some of our friends go to work and they're wearing these little things up here. Or they go to work and they have on the pants where, you know, somebody, the person who made the pants stole a lot of their material.
Sheer clothing, many different inappropriate clothing.
Right. Friends, they may be keeping friends with some people that are not healthy for them. And this is my friend, but I don't want to tell her because
I don't want her to think I'm jealous.
Jealousy.
Or
you're trying to get in my space.
She wants to control me, boss me, that kind of thing.
Number 4.
B.O. Man, I had a lady that was working for me when I was in the military. You could smell her like from the end that you're in by the stairs, and she was in the room up here. You could smell her.
Perfume,
Seriously.
No, B.O.
Oh, B.O.
Body odor.
Bad odor.
No, body odor.
Body,
Yeah, nobody wanted to tell her.
That's always a common one, though. You have someone who, it could be a one-day thing or something that happens a bit more frequent. Nobody wants to say anything.
But I want to know. You want to know because then if you're my friend and you can't tell me, other people out there are smelling the same thing and nobody's telling me. And hey, you know what? A lot of times you can't smell yourself, you know.
You can't.
Yeah, you get nose blind to that scent.
Yeah, you get used to it. So somebody has to love you enough to share that with you.
Yeah, that's true.
But you must prep yourself to do such thing. You just don't go, you don't smell too good.
No, man, but you're not going like that.
And that's why we're saying how to have the difficult conversations.
There you go.
And if your friend is cheating and you know that she's cheating, do you just ignore it or do you help her do it? Or do you have the conversation about, girl, can we talk about this?
Or another common one, if she's being cheated on.
Right.
Sometimes you know as the friend and you don't say anything.
No, that's a difficult
one. And to iron that situation is always, I don't want to take away her happiness.
It's not just that. It's just such a hard conversation to have because, you know, what do they always say? You don't get in between a couple. You
But
may
on the
lose
other
your
hand-
friendship. You may lose lots of things in the process.
On the other hand, your friend could end up with HIV. Your friend could end up with other things. So it's really a dilemma,
Yeah.
a personal dilemma.
Yeah.
With relationships, family relationships. One I didn't put here, and I want to just say, you have a person who is very significant in your life who has a personality disorder, and the things that they're doing is very detrimental to the relationship. But I don't want him to leave, or I don't want to hurt his feelings, or oh my gosh, he won't go. He won't do anything about it, so I don't want to broach it.
Yeah.
I want to see if I can handle it, right? Very, it's a very tough thing, but that relationship won't last because personality disorders are things like narcissism, right? Or you might have someone who is a borderline,
Yeah.
and living with these folks, it's really, really hard to live with them. Okay?
Or even if somebody is exhibiting signs of depression, it's
Yeah.
always hard to talk to people when they're having some kind of difficulty with their mental state.
Yeah.
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 But it's affecting the relationship, it's affecting the children. So it's so important to be able to talk with them.
Of course.
Right? We talk about breaking off a relationship, not on social media. You have to
Or
talk to the
ghosting,
person.
which is a new thing
Oh,
now,
Lord,
which is
the
like you just
ghosting, yes.
stop
Just
all
Yes.
communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so one is impolite, but the other part is so hurtful, and it's cowardly. It's cowardly. I don't like my daughter's boyfriend. I have to have this conversation, but I don't know how to have it because I don't want to alienate her, right? My teenager looks pregnant. Eee.
So that's a tough one.
Okay, really tough. I think my husband is cheating, or my common-law turns his phone off every time I come into the room. Right.
Or other suspicious
Other
behavior.
thing, right. And those are just little examples of things that happen in relationships. Tips. So how do you go about starting this conversation? And I didn't put it here, but I want to say it has to really be that I speak from me. I have to use I.
Never you.
I don't want to go you. You do this and you did that and because that sounds very, it's
too direct.
not only that, it's like
accusatory.
You're accusing.
Yeah.
You're accusing, right? But if I say I and I'm explaining, I'm owning my feelings,
Yeah.
and I'm letting you know how I feel when these things happen.
I feel like you're hiding something because when I walk in the room, you turn off your phone.
What I would prefer is that we talk about this, or I would prefer that you have your conversations in front of me or whatever. Show that you trust me, right?
Okay.
So use I. It's very important to use I.
So you have conversation
Also-
starters.
Yeah, I put some conversation starters because folks will say, "Well, I don't know how to do
How
that."
to start,
So
yeah.
here's
Nobody
some,
knows how- it's hard, yeah.
There's something I'd like to talk with you about, and I think it'll help us to work better in the workplace. It'll
Which is a
help us.
wonderful way to start.
Can I just say something here because I think it is a very common thing that people joke about. Never send a message or tell somebody beforehand. I think can we talk about something later?
Oh man.
Boy. Everybody knows this. This is like,
It's I mean, like I think about it, and it's just like you put this burden on
I need to
dump it.
yes,
It's like you go through that guessing game your entire day, just try to figure it out, until the time comes. So this is perhaps better said right before you start
before.
the
Mhm.
conversation.
Right before.
Okay, I'm just
Or
clarifying. Yeah.
Or you have a husband or a wife who comes in and says, "I need to talk."
Yeah.
But just before we go, the plus to this is I think it will help us work together better.
Yes.
Or better together. I think that's the plus to it.
Yes.
I'd work along with that.
Yes.
Yeah. You'll appreciate that one.
Appreciate that one.
Okay, we have
That's a
that one
work-
John
yeah.
approved.
But Marlena makes a good point. You don't want to tell the person in the morning, later when I come home from work.
Yeah.
Because you're all day long now, your day's ruined.
Yeah.
Your
Or
day's
timing too.
Yeah.
It's like if the elephant in the room has already stepped on both your toes, and then you go, you know what? We need to talk.
We need to talk. Yeah.
Or after the blow up of the fight or during the blow up, let's talk about this now. Like it's
Yeah.
just not the time.
Yeah.
In my opinion, no?
It's not.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
These are
So
wonderful.
is this calm Sunday morning when?
You know, let's go have something to eat, or
Uh-huh.
someplace tranquil, and we sit down and we talk,
Okay.
right? I'd like to talk to you about whatever, right? But first, I'd like to hear from you what you
What
think.
do you think?
Okay, let's do the body odor talk here. Jenny, there's something I want to talk to you about. Maybe you should tell me, because I don't even know how to have that conversation. That's a hard conversation to have. You're accusing somebody of being unhygienic. That's what it feels like. That's my fear that I have that would make you avoid a conversation. So you have the conversation with me. I hate showering. I smell bad. Or maybe just I'm not being very good at washing my hair. I don't know.
Or
right?
using deodorant.
Or using deodorant. Maybe my deodorant isn't strong enough. Have that conversation.
Oh, I
with
don't
me.
use deodorant because of my religion or because of whatever.
Okay, but tell me about my
So,
problem.
I'd really like to have a conversation with you. It's a tough conversation, but I think it's important that you are aware of it, and then you can do something about it. Can we do that? So I'd like to just come right out and say that you have a body odor, and it's very distracting to everyone here in the office. And I would like to just point it out to you and have you check it out. Maybe you need to go see the doctor. But it's a tough one, but I really needed to let you know because I don't want anybody else to come and say something to you in a nasty way. So I'm doing my best to share it with you and have you go explore it.
And what if I'm just one of those really catty people and say, well, you stink too? Which can happen.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
reality.
Wow, I'm really glad you shared that with me because I had no idea. Are you aware that we can't really smell ourselves because it becomes such a norm? So thank you for sharing that with me. But I really hope that you would hear me too and figure it out, do whatever you need to do.
Okay. Thank you
that
for
work?
that. Yeah, thank you.
The approach was exactly what somebody would expect. But my buy-in
What
there
was it?
quickly.
Oh.
My buy-in there was when you told her that I don't want for anybody else to come just randomly come and tell you.
This is
That
true,
took me on right there because the conversation at first was stressing me out. But I got bought in.
Okay.
Somebody will tell you about it, and I don't want for them to hurt your feelings. So
yeah, exactly. But you know, that's a tough conversation to have, period.
Of course,
Yeah.
A tough
Yeah.
one.
of course.
We're so worried about hurting feelings.
Yes, we are. But honestly, there are some people who are going to go say it to them and they're just going to come out with it like how we Belizeans do it, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's much nicer if I come and I say it to you, soften it and share it with you.
Okay.
Okay? I don't want to go through all of them, but I wanted to just share a couple.
Just go ahead and read them, yeah.
I need your help with what just happened. Do you have a few minutes to talk?
Yeah.
And what just happened could have been we had a blowout, we had something. Do you have a few minutes to talk? The person says no, and I say, well, okay, so can we do this later? Right? If they don't, then I will have to put it off and go back again and say, okay, yesterday something happened that we really need to talk about.
It's going to help both of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the
right.
buy-in.
I need your help with something. Can we talk about it? Soon?
That gives you the urgency.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we have different ideas about whatever. I'd like to hear what you think about it. Do you see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I'm giving you the opportunity to talk to me before I share what I have.
Yeah.
Because this way, if I was off track, I can then turn things to meet what you're sharing with me. I have an understanding too. Before I may not have to even share anything if I get an understanding. Okay. I'd like to talk about whatever. I think we may have some different ideas about how to raise our child or how to discipline our child, for example. Right. I'd like to see if we might reach a better understanding about I really want to hear your feelings about this and share my perspective as well. Okay, and I put a little thing down there about a family conflict. You are telling your family you want to change majors, right? I'm the kid in sixth form. And they have already expressed to me that if I choose to do this, they will not be happy about it. Here I'm coming in to tell them I'm changing my major, right?
Yeah.
So.
And the child-adult parent dynamics is already a difficult one for the child to speak up to parents.
Especially since they're paying my way.
Yeah, that's not just family, that's financer.
Okay. Yeah. Remember, don't take verbal attacks personally. Because sometimes some people are not going to take
like
what
when
you're
I
sharing.
said, no, you stink, right?
Yeah, right. Don't take it personally.
Yeah.
When you share difficult things with people, they may have a verbal attack. Don't take it on.
But it's how they say it.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Don't
matter.
take it on. Don't take it on.
It's like when you would have a talk about perhaps someone's spouse is cheating. They'll say, oh, well, you don't have a perfect relationship. Or you put up with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's almost like a defense mechanism.
It's a defense mechanism.
But that's also part of the fear why people don't have the conversations, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you don't take it personally and if you're not invested, like for example, if it's sharing something with a best friend that her husband is cheating, I'm not invested in that I have to take it on personally. I'm sharing this with you because it's in your best interest.
Yeah.
Right? Help your partner to come back to center. So if they go off the deep end and they start, because the blame game starts, and oh, you're not doing this and you're not doing that, so how dare tell me anything? I want to bring them back and go, okay, but this is what we're talking about.
Okay.
Again, in a loving way.
Okay.
I keep stressing this loving part of this. It's so important. Don't assume your partner can see things from your point of view, because most times they don't. Because men and women think differently. Okay? Practice the conversation with a friend before holding the real conversation. Really important. So if I'm coming in to come talk to you, my husband, I want to come to Marlene. I go, Marlene, I want to talk to John, but I really think I need to sit to you, and then you be devil's, you be devil's advocate and come back at me since you know how John might react. Yeah. Right. Practice it out with a friend first, right? Okay. And that's it.
And mentally practice it.
Oh, yeah. In your head, make sure you have all the things in your head that you want to share with that person. Yeah. Envision the outcome you are hoping for. So you see what it is you're hoping for, but don't get locked into it, because if it doesn't come out that way, you don't want to become depressed or give up on it. Envision it, because I believe in visioning, that you want to put things out there that you want to see. Yeah. But if it doesn't work out that way, okay, we'll try again another time.
But you choose your time. You choose when.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if somebody, how to, because if somebody is intoxicated at the time, you don't want to have a conversation.
You never have a conversation with somebody who's drinking.
If somebody just probably wake up, that individual is not somebody who is at the peak when he just just woke up or sleeping.
When they just come in from work. When people come in from work, they need a few minutes to sort of just relax, get some downtime, and then you can have conversations.
Not as soon as you walk in the door.
But you have sometimes women are home all day long with the child, and she's been talking baby talk all day, and he comes in and she wants to have this conversation. Not a good time, ladies.
What about the you statement? I think is so important. I think naturally, if I want to say, you are not doing your share in helping with the baby, I need more sleep. And, these are all things. How do you, let's say that's a statement I want to say. How do I flip it to make it not a you statement, but something coming from me? So it's not going to accuse you of it. It's true, you sleep and I have to wake up 3 times for the night, and it's absolutely wrong. I don't know how else to say that, but.
I'm really tired. I get up 3 times during the night to feed the baby, and I'm exhausted. Would you be able to help me and wake up with the baby once or twice for the night so that I can get some sleep?
I do have a response, and quickly, because I'm in the situation. So, because I am, the conversation here should be something that we tend to understand from each other. I know that you have to wake up every 3 hours to feed a child. Because I am a part of this, while you feed, my job is to burp and put to sleep. Now there are ways of how you do this. So it's very important to have a good, clean conversation with your spouse and make things happen. Not only she that you took.
It can be only her.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
But a lot of men don't feel that that is their responsibility.
Oh my God.
There's the mother. That's the mother's job. That's the mother's work. And so she has to have the conversation, but don't use the you statements.
I
am tired. I'm exhausted. I get up every 3 hours, and then throughout the day I'm here and I'm doing the same thing. So I would like to, I want to engage you and ask you, how can you help me? Throw that ball back in his court. Throw it back in his court.
I think it will help both of us. That's where that part comes in.
But I was just gonna ask, is it, I mean, what if I am really tired and I choose this approach, and I could imagine the mom watching and saying, I don't want to ask him to help. I want to tell him he has to do his share.
Dictating right off the bat's not going to work.
Okay.
It's not going to work.
Okay.
Especially, you know what we're dealing with. Men, you can't dictate to them. we have to negotiate. We have to negotiate and
On both
negotiate.
sides.
Yes.
On both sides.
But see, it's a teaching process. I have to train you. I have to train you as a male.
Not change you.
Not change you. Just train you with, especially helping with this baby. It's not just my baby. It's our baby.
Yes.
And so you come from a whole different worldview. I have to train you.
Let's throw in one more difficult scenario here. A coworker that you're just not seeing eye to eye with. Maybe, and this is very common, it has led to passive aggression. And that's just, you know, the green toxic fumes that you see moving around in a workplace so many times. This one doesn't like that one, this one upset with that one. And then there's the no communication or the backhanded comments. How do we have that talk?
Oh, first of all,
You can see it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is common
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's
You see the
common.
green
It's common.
toxic smoke, it chokes you the minute you walk in. Yeah.
It's very common. First thing will have to be to diffuse whatever it is that's going on before we can even have that conversation. So personally, I will walk up and say, I'd really like to have a minute of your time. There's something going on between us, and I'd really like to have a different relationship with you. So can you spare a few minutes so we can sit and talk? I'm asking you, Marlene. Can we sit and have a minute to talk? Or
I'm kind of busy right now, so.
well, it doesn't have to be right now, but I really think that we have something's going on between us that's affecting the entire workplace. So would you be able to make some time so we can talk through this? Because I'm very open to hearing what has happened between us. Can you make some time?
That's your starting point, right?
Can you make some time?
I'll always make time for you, Jenny.
But you're this,
If it's me and you.
yeah, but you're this person in the workplace that is
Yeah.
very toxic.
But I mean,
Yeah,
the reality is you may have somebody who's so angry that they may tell, I joked and said I'm too busy, but they could either be too angry in the moment or just a really, you know, the entire situation is weighed down on them so much, they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to communicate.
So we have to take it to somebody higher.
Okay.
We have to get mediation or go to somebody higher.
Okay. Yeah.
Because in a workplace, you cannot have, that's toxic.
Yeah.
And it affects the entire workplace.
I know we don't have time, but that's
Yeah.
a difficult situation because
It
that
is.
individual might think you might put him or her in trouble, and then it goes on from there.
Well, I've come to you, I've opened up the door and said, can we talk about this? Because clearly there's something going on between us, and it's beginning to permeate into the workplace with other people.
No.
Right? Can we have a discussion? Can we talk?
Yeah.
Tell me what it is that's wrong. If you're not doing that, then we have to take it to the next person in the chain of command.
But have the difficult conversations.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Very
Have to have
important.
it. Be honest. And if I'm honest and there's something going on, I have to come and talk to you. We can't leave that elephant there.
Elephant there, yeah.
Okay, Jenny, I have a difficult conversation to have with you at this time. I feel that this is a very enjoyable conversation, but unfortunately we're completely out of time. Thank you so much for being here. This is an important topic that I really hope people have been able to benefit from during the course of the tips that you provided.
Yeah, I hope so.
We'll put it up. We'll
so
get it up
people
on
can go
Facebook.
look
So
at
if
it.
there's anything you need, especially those conversation starters or the reasons you have the conversation, you can find that on our Facebook page. Thank you again, Jenny.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
These are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.